Hi everyone, it's Debbie Mirza, the author of The Covert Passive-Aggressive Narcissist. Today I'm going to be talking to you about narcissistic therapists and narcissistic coaches. And people in this field can be incredibly damaging because the fact that they're a therapist or a coach, especially therapist, I think for most people, you think, oh, they've gone to school, they have their credentials, they're going to be able to help me. Often we think they're going to know more than me, which is not necessarily true. So I was prompted to do this because of an experience I just had that was so shocking to me. And then also someone else I was talking to, a friend of mine, an experience that she's been having too. So what happened with me lately is someone recommended that I talk to this woman who has been a therapist for 30 years. And she works with trauma. She helps people get out of trauma. And since studying narcissism and helping you guys and my own clients and myself, I've really become interested in trauma and how to release that out of the body. And definitely as I learn more and more about that, I will definitely share that with you. So what happened was I called this lady. I was really excited. She sounded like she had this really interesting thing she does with people to help release trauma. And the way she treated me was so terrible. She started asking me, okay, what's happened to you? Why are you looking into this? So I was telling her, and right off, she just immediately took control and said really demeaning and devaluing things, which was incredible to me because I'm like, just bare my heart, become really vulnerable with her. She's supposed to be this therapist that helps people with trauma. And I almost ended the conversation right there and said, clearly, you're not a safe person for me. But I was just curious to see where she'd go with it. So I stayed on the phone and asked her different questions. And I turned it around on her. I said, I don't want to talk about my story anymore. I want to ask what you do. And she just continued to be incredibly egotistical. But she would use the term of, this is all about your ego, and that's so it's that again, like projecting her issues onto me. And then talking with a friend who's experienced, a similar thing, who's been going to a therapist herself. I've even heard of people going to coaches and therapists that help people who know about narcissism. And this really upsets me because they have ended up being very damaging to those clients. So I say this not to discourage you, but I say this to emphasize so much to trust yourself no matter who you are talking to. If you are talking to someone who has been highly recommended to you or has a ton of credentials or decades of experience, just know, I would say look for two signs, just to keep it really simple for you. Look for, how do you feel around this person? Do you feel empowered or disempowered? Do you feel safe? Do you feel like you can say anything and you won't be judged? Those are huge things to notice. And also the second thing is, does this person respect you, your feelings, and your thoughts? So a good therapist and a good coach will see you as a respectable person, will see you on the same field. I'm not saying the words I want to, but we'll see you on the same level as them. Like when I coach people, I might know some more in certain areas, but I don't see myself as better than them, and there are areas in their life that they're more advanced than me, so we all learn from each other. So I wanted to let you know to be really cautious when you're looking for help, because you're in a really vulnerable state and you're not that strong, I would guess, if you're listening to these videos. Because when I was looking to looking at watching videos about narcissism when I needed it the most, I was not in a strong place. And so I was very easily manipulated and taken in by people who seemed like they know more than me. So I'd be really careful when you're looking for help. First of all, ask them if they know about narcissism, and especially covert narcissism. If your therapist is a really kind therapist and you really feel comfortable, but they're not that educated, I would recommend bringing in my book or telling them about it. I would honestly love for every therapist in the world to get a hold of my book, because I have friends who have been therapists for decades and have never heard the term covert narcissism before because it's not taught. And I should mention that too. When therapists go to school, narcissism is briefly taught, the basics of it. Covert narcissism is not taught at all. So there's a lot of well-meaning therapists with good hearts that just don't recognize it because they weren't educated on it or haven't gone through it themselves. So just some heads up for you guys and things to look for, and to once again bring it back to you can trust yourself more than anyone. And you are the greatest resource that the therapist has. So find one that respects you and respects what you're feeling and respects your thoughts and observations. So I hope that helps, and I will talk to you soon.